In 1996, Jim and Loretta thought they were finally free. After 40 years of hard work, they had $450,000 saved, a small house paid off, and dreams of traveling the country in a second-hand RV. But just 2 weeks after they met a man named Carl, everything vanished. And the most shocking part? Carl wasn't a stranger at all. Sit tight, make sure to watch till the end of the video, and let us know if such a horrible thing as you're going to see today happened to Jim and Loretta, happened to you or anyone you know. Let's get into it. Jim had retired from the paper mill. Loretta had closed her small flower shop. Their life was finally slowing down. Every Saturday, they'd drive past the RV dealership and talk about where they'd go first. Yellowstone, the Grand Canyon, maybe visit their son in Oregon. They clipped travel articles, marked maps, dreamed out loud. Then, at a retirement seminar at the local community center, they met a man in a gray suit with soft hands and a firmer voice. Carl Green. He said he specialized in safe, senior-focused investments that would double their money in 10 years with no risk. He handed out cookies, remembered everyone's names. He even claimed to have helped Jim's old union rep get a great deal. He said he'd grown up in the next town over. He felt trustworthy, familiar. But Loretta noticed something odd during their second meeting. Carl had said he lived in Hillsboro, but then casually mentioned his drive from Tulsa, she told Jim. He shrugged. Probably just has family there. They signed the papers anyway. They moved $430,000 into a long-term income growth account with Carl's firm. It looked legitimate. There was a phone number, paperwork, a logo with an eagle. Carl even gave them a small check up front. $1,200. Your first yield payout, he said. They celebrated that night with prime rib and red wine. Loretta smiled and said, "It finally feels like it's all paying off." Over the next few days, they received emails with statements. Everything looked normal. They even told their church friends about it. One couple, the Thompsons, booked a meeting with Carl the following week. But 2 weeks later, something changed. Jim called Carl's number to ask a question about the next payout. It rang twice, then went to voicemail. He left a message. No reply. The next day, he tried again. The voicemail was full. The day after that, disconnected. Loretta opened her laptop and tried to log into the investment portal. It was gone. The website no longer existed. She refreshed her email. Messages she sent to Carl bounced back. Address not found. Jim grabbed the investment packet and got in the car. He drove an hour to the office address printed on every page. It wasn't an office. It wasn't even a strip mall. It was a UPS drop box shoved between a laundromat and a liquor store. He stood there, staring at it in the cold wind, clutching that folder like it could change what he was seeing. A teenage boy walked past with headphones on. Jim wanted to scream. He didn't. He just got back in the car and cried in the driver's seat. Back home, Jim and Loretta sat in the kitchen, staring at the check stub and the investment folder. They drove to their bank. No help. They called the sheriff, told to contact the state. And then they learned they weren't the only ones. Carl, whoever he was, had hit 4 counties. The firm was fake. The license number was copied from a dissolved company in Florida. Carl Green, just an alias. Real name, unknown. The investigator told them this kind of scam was becoming more common. No FDIC insurance. No trace of where the money went after the third wire transfer. Their savings were gone. Jim took a night janitor job at the elementary school. Loretta started baking pies and selling them at local markets. She babysat for 2 local families. She even started keeping her wedding ring on a chain inside her shirt, afraid someone might try to take that too. They canceled the RV plan. They sold Jim's old truck. They stopped buying meat more than once a week. They never told their son he had a new baby, a mortgage. They didn't want to be a burden. 6 months later, the Thompsons came by. They too had lost everything. Word spread. A retired judge, a widow, a veteran, all victims. They formed a support group. A class action lawsuit began. Jim submitted every document, every receipt, every scrap of information. He made dozens of phone calls. He didn't expect anything, but it gave him purpose. Then, 3 years later, they got a call from Nevada. Jeremy Glenn. That was Carl's real name. He'd been arrested at a hotel in Las Vegas. Fake ID, fake business cards, $14,000 in cash. He'd pulled the same scam in Arizona. And before that, in California. The court set up a restitution fund, but most of the money was gone. Jim and Loretta received a check. $11,400. Just enough to buy 2 plane tickets to Oregon, visit their grandkids, and have a steak dinner on the way home. Jim still kept the investment folder, not because he couldn't let go, because he wanted to remember. Loretta once asked, "What would you have done differently?" He paused. "Trusted my wife sooner." They never recovered the money, but they stayed together, grew stronger, and warned others. "Yeah, we lost our retirement," Jim says, "but we didn't lose each other." Loretta nods. "And next time, we trust our gut." If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Have you ever heard of similar story or worse? Has something like this, what happened to Jim and Loretta, happened to you? Let us know in the comments. If this story moved you, please subscribe, leave a like, and comment what kind of true stories you'd like us to cover next.